What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Across the River podcast. I'm Dylan Schall. I'm here with Jacob Kaplan today. We have a shortened squad, but nonetheless, we'll make it work. We're going to be bringing out some World Series analysis, college football, and NFL predictions going into these weeks. And it's going to be a really, really good episode, so stay tuned and watch the video. Whew. The
No
World,
dumb jokes today. No dumb jokes.
the World Series. The World Series, the World Series, the World Series. Five-game series to the Dodgers, and I don't know who could have called that. But you're the Yankee fan. I'll let you get your thoughts out. I'll sit back, drink some water.
All right, let me just say this. Yeah, the way congrats to the Dodgers on winning it all. Uh, in my opinion, I could say as much as I want. I can't change the result. I think the Yankees should be up 3-2 going to LA right now because if they did not choke game five and they get one out in game one, you're going to LA tonight up 3-2.
Ifs, buts, maybes. Those don't do it.
Those don't change
Baseball,
anything.
baseball is a game of pitching. Baseball is a game of every pitch matters. You can't change the outcome based on what could have happened. And the truth is, the Dodgers had the more clutch at bats in this series. The Yankees had the opportunity up 5-0 to take this game to six. They could have very well been still alive. They didn't do the job. Is it coaching? Is it players not being ready? What is it that just doesn't let the Yankees get over the hump? Is it just that the Dodgers are that good?
No, I honestly could say we could say the fielding potentially because that's what the Dodgers looked at the most when when they found out the Yankees were their matchup, as you know, which was just released a couple days ago by and the NY Post, that the Dodgers like scouting team said that the Dodgers just got to pay attention to the fielding because if the Yankees make one mistake, the Dodgers are going to capitalize on that, which they definitely did a lot of times. With a lot of errors in that fifth inning, which is now the two most dreaded words in New York now, fifth inning. But yeah, they capitalized on the mistakes. Obviously, you saw that rarely mistake from Judge. You rarely see that.
No, you really don't.
That bases loaded ground ball by Mookie. Rizzo should have taken a saw, some might say. Some might say Garrett Cole should have ran to the bag. And we can go on and on about all the mistakes, but Yankees just did not clean them up. And that's the reason that they fell short.
Yeah, and in the World Series, you really do have to play mistake-free
Yeah,
baseball. You can't afford to be making one you can get away with. There's so many different instances over the course of the series where the Yankees made routine plays look so difficult. And sometimes those little margins are what decides a series. And the Dodgers were the best team in the MLB this year. They deserved the World Series
for
championship.
sure.
And
Yeah.
even though it only went to five, it was a really great series overall with a lot of breathtaking moments. You look at the Freddie Freeman grand slam to walk it off in the first game, and you've got game two, the Yankees had a chance as well. Game five,
Yeah.
the Yankees had a chance, and it was just a really, really good series. But that cuts the baseball season to a close. We are now strictly in football season, also basketball and hockey starting, but really
Basketball will get back. Basketball will be our next episode. This one will break all
but
that down.
we're really in football season now. There's so much going on this week. We'll start on the college front, where, of course, game of the week, the UMass Minutemen travel to Mississippi State.
Hey,
UMass have more wins.
I mean, yeah. Hey.
Nah,
Oh wow, I
but
didn't even notice that. But hey, I mean, yeah. You match money line all day, every day.
but all seriousness, today Boise State 15 seed takes on San Diego State in Boise on that blue field. Ashton Genty ball. Gotta love that. We're gonna see Boise State go out and get that win,
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
obviously.
Yeah.
Ashton Junti came on. I don't even like. People don't even know what to think of him at this point. Is he a Heisman? Can he win the
I
Heisman?
think he's the Heisman forefront player right
Front
now
runner?
because
I mean, a lot of
I
people
I
are
I, I
saying
think
Hunter.
so. I
Travis Hunter,
think
a lot of people say.
Travis Hunter, he's doing things that no one has done before with the two-way ball, but Ashton Genty is putting up better than Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram numbers in college. He's playing out of his mind. On to some of the real powerhouse games. There's some games between ranked opponents this weekend. We've got Pitt playing against SMU on Saturday. It's a good game.
Yeah.
Both teams hovering around the 20 mark. Who do you see winning that one?
No, Pitt is coming off, I believe, that absolute killing of
Demolition.
Syracuse, which kind of shocked. I wouldn't say most of the maybe some of the college football community, but I also say us also, with a lot of our friends involved in that matchup. But Pitt, they're looking really good. SMU's also looking really good. They just kind of struggled though at Duke, which Duke is a good team. That's a tough place to play. I'm gonna go with Pitt here, going on the road to beat SMU though. I just think Pitt, they're showing even though SMU's favored by 7, I'm gonna go Pitt here.
Okay, yeah, SMU has one loss on the year, Pitt 7-0, SMU 7-1. Both teams very competitive. I'm gonna go for SMU, I think, because they wiped out Stanford, they wiped out FSU, they wiped out TCU. Their only loss was against BYU, and Pitt,
That game, yeah, and that game was low scoring also
yeah,
too. So the defense showing up.
while they're undefeated, Pitt, they have shown an ability to give up points against some weaker teams. So Syracuse was not one of those games, but against West Virginia or Cincinnati or even Kent State put up 24 on them. I think the offense in SMU is going to be able to at least give them a really, really rough run for their money. So I'm going to go SMU to win this one. Before we get to the main diving point of this week, which we all know what it is, Oregon play Michigan. I think that's an Oregon win. I'm not going to touch too much on that.
Good, yeah. I'm not even Good thing we don't have the other kid here to
Yeah.
say about it.
Georgia gets a hot Florida right now, who started the season off terribly, but now they're on a run. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a game. I mean, Florida, they played Tennessee to overtime. They beat the hell out of Kentucky. They beat UCF. They beat Mississippi State all in a row. 4 good games in a row. I wouldn't be shocked if Florida makes this game. I'm going to say
Yeah,
Georgia wins it, but it
yeah.
should be
Obviously,
close.
Georgia's gonna win it, but it's that Florida Georgia game. The huge rivalry. We got kind of a Saquon situation here. We got Trevor Etienne, who the Florida crowd is gonna make him hear it on Saturday.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's one of those. The neutral site, Jaguar Stadium, so it's gonna be a good game to watch. Georgia's gonna take it home though.
What we've all been waiting for. Ohio State, Penn State, Big Ten matchup, 4 versus 3. Ohio State has one loss on the year. Penn
Yeah,
State's still undefeated, but one could argue that their schedule has been quite Mickey Mouse. They've played a total of one ranked team this or two, no, one ranked team this season,
yeah,
and it was Illinois. Every other game they've walked. That game they only won by 2 scores. And actually they barely beat USC
USC,
actually.
yeah,
But it's a team that's very comfortable. Aller looks good. They look like they're competitive in the same way that they always do. But Ohio State has that top line talent that could take them over the line, and their only loss was a 1 point loss to the top team in the country in Oregon.
which they probably should have won, honestly.
Yeah, so you're the Ohio State fan. I'll let you take it away.
Ohio State and Penn State, all both fan bases circle this game on their calendar every year. Ohio State has had the better side so far in the rivalry the past couple of years. This matchup has more stakes on it, but I got OSU going into Happy Valley and getting the job done. I mean, it's just really all about for me. It's the offense needs to bounce back after last week against Nebraska. It was only a 4-point win, kind of concerning what I saw, but the defense still holding it down. I got Ohio State winning this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ohio State take this one as well. I kind of wanted to have a little argument, but I should have figured you were gonna go with Ohio State, given you're the Ohio State fan. Penn State just haven't been really challenged yet this year by one
Mhm.
of the top teams. And Illinois is a good school. USC is a good school, but I think that Ohio State, they have the top end talent. They have the coaching this year that has kind of been lackluster in years past. I think they have what it takes to get over the line against a team like Penn State. Whether they can do it in the national championship game, that's yet to be seen. That brings me up to my next question before we leave the college landscape. Right now, there's a multitude of teams that you could argue are the best team in college football, but there's not one that you
Yeah.
can put your finger on and say this is easily the best team in college football. So, who are your top 3? Because I think there's maybe 8 options that you can honestly point to and
Yeah,
say
for
these are the
sure.
teams that are here for me. Who are your top three teams in college football that you're going into at the end of the year thinking they're the favorites in the national championship?
Well, I'm not going to put OSU on this list. Obviously, I really want to say it, but I'm not going to first. I'm going to go Oregon because even though it was just an unscathed win against OSU, they've been looking really good. They killed Illinois last week at home. Besides that OSU game and possibly the Boise State game, which they won by 3 also, that was a really good game also at the start of the year. They've shown really good promise this year. Number two, it might be a little tough here. I'm gonna go Miami actually because I really like Cam Ward. I hope he goes to the Giants. P.S. But yeah, I've really even though some might say they haven't been challenged that much, they face Duke tomorrow, and that could be a really tough game for them. But they came back against Cal, barely beat Virginia Tech on the last play, controversial type play, some might say. But I really like Miami this year. They can definitely make a run in the playoff. And last but definitely not least, I'm gonna go with Georgia because they went into Texas and shut them out in the first half. Even though Texas ran the second half, they still won by multi scores. And even though they're only lost to Bama, they came back, barely lost at the end. I'm gonna go Georgia. Those are my top three.
So I agree with you on Oregon. I think they've been proving every game that they're the best team in the country. They haven't lost yet, and they've played some really fierce competition. I agree with you on Georgia. I think that Georgia, although they did lose to Alabama, and that
Mhm.
is now by the week looking like a worse and worse loss, they really are really, really talented in every aspect of the game. And although I'm not the biggest Carson Beck fan, he is one of the best
Yeah,
quarterbacks in college football. I don't know how translatable he is to the NFL, but he is very much capable of taking this team to a national championship. The third team that I want to mention, and this might come as a little bit of a surprise because, again, I've been using the strength of schedule a lot. This is kind of contradicting myself. I don't think Indiana lose a game all season going into the
I was
playoffs.
looking at them and I was like,
I
I
don't think they
know he's
lose a
gonna say
game all
this.
season going into the playoffs. And this is a Big Ten school. This is a school that is now 13th in the country. They are 8-0, and for the rest of the year, they play Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Purdue. And okay, so Ohio State, that is a game
It's gonna come down to that
that is a
game.
game that they can very well lose. But
In my opinion, even if they lose to Ohio State, they can still make it for sure.
no, they make the playoff if they go 9-1 or 10 and
Yeah,
1 or whatever it is. They are very, very, very competitive. I wanted to point them out. I don't know that I give them a top three spot because I also do like Miami. I also like
yeah,
Tennessee. I think even though they lost that game to Arkansas and they've kind of started to trail off a little on offense, they're not putting up 73 points anymore. I think this is a team that's at least competitive. And then lastly, I said three, but I'm mentioning five. You can't count out Texas, even though
yeah,
what's
for
happened in the
sure.
last couple of weeks has been not necessarily great for them. They are still super, super good. And
Yeah,
I mean, they beat Oklahoma at the time, very well ranked 34-3. They beat Michigan 31-12, Mississippi State, Monroe. They've just been wiping teams out. So I
yeah.
think they're
Even especially because the SEC, there's been so much shakeup in there with Bama losing to Vandy. I mean, Texas almost lost to Vandy. Let's be honest there.
yeah,
But it's like it's so wide open because like even the teams like for example, I believe if I'm counting this correctly, A&M is atop the SEC because they haven't lost a conference game. So
they haven't.
technically, if the season ended today, it's A&M Georgia for the SEC.
I
So really,
like that
it's
though.
anyone's conference
I
there.
like A&M this year. They really
Yeah,
do look good, and they've beaten good teams. So that's something that I didn't even think about Texas A&M, but they are absolutely competitive this year, and
yeah,
they
for
could
sure.
definitely make a push for the SEC.
Hmm.
In other conferences, big that's actually raises a good point. Who do we think is in the conference finals?
You
I
know,
see I see Georgia and Texas going against each other. I don't think
yeah,
that A&M hold up, but should be a really competitive SEC.
the SEC, it's gonna come down. I don't know. I love that saying that. I don't know why, but yeah, I feel like I'm gonna agree with you there. Texas and Georgia for it. Even like, do we think Bama could make the playoff with the two losses?
They can. I don't think they do, but they can.
For
It's going to
sure.
be a
Yeah,
really really good end of the season in the SEC. In the Big Ten, I'm going to say Ohio State and Indiana are going to be the teams that get
really.
there. I really do think Indiana have what it takes. And I think Penn State, as the season goes on and their schedule gets a little harder, are going to
So
trail off a bit.
where does Oregon go then?
Oh, I forgot about Oregon. Yeah. No, okay. Oregon and Ohio State. Never mind.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you
Yeah,
said
no,
like,
no, no. Oregon are the best team in the
I
country.
thought you
That's
meant for a second like teams that like don't win the conference championship and get in.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
No, Oregon are going to win the conference championship. That was just
Yeah.
a short-sighted statement there, but
Conference realignment does change you up.
yeah.
It
Big
shakes it.
12, it's going to be ooh, I mean,
It's not that. It's not as
Boise State's good.
Boise State is good. Wait, are they even in the Big 12?
I think they are now, yeah.
Are they?
Or are they Mountain West?
No, they're yeah, I think so. No, I can't even find them. Yeah,
They
Mountain West.
are, yeah,
Okay,
they're
Mountain
Mountain
West.
West.
Yeah.
Okay.
BYU's are currently a top.
BYU is really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
BYU I like. I
Iowa
mean,
State,
yeah, Iowa State also. Kansas State.
yeah.
Don't count out the Buffs. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, they're ranked now. So that's, ooh,
Utah. Their last three are Utah, Kansas, and Oak State. So
yeah.
we'll
I,
see
I
what
I think
happens
I'll
with
go
that.
Iowa State. I think I'll go Iowa State and BYU.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, honestly, that's probably the for sure choice.
Well, let's move to the NFL now. Week 9. The Jets beat the Texans on Thursday. We're both falling down for that one, but like we made the
No,
right.
I think we're all. I mean, I'm tied with Gans now. I think
Yeah, I
you're
think
one
I'm
or
down a
two
point,
behind.
right?
I think you're
I'm two
two
behind.
behind. I
Two
think.
behind. All right.
If I'm correct, it's 21-19. I believe that's
It
it.
might be. I might have 20, but we'll see. We'll see that on our own. But we'll start off with my Miami Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills, and there's no way around it. Buffalo is going to wipe the floor with the Dolphins. They've been a rag doll for Buffalo over the course of the last, I don't know, 7 years. So I'm
Yeah.
going Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that one. I'm gonna assume Gans is gonna take him too, but
Yeah.
Tua came back last week, and everyone thought, maybe this is where the Dolphins turn it around, but he had 234 yards. It wasn't as much incorporation of Tyreek and Waddle as I thought it was gonna be. It was kind of
So
the Devon Achane show on that offense, but you're the
So
fan. You
yeah, what
watched.
I saw was it opened up the offense a whole lot. It was a completely different look, and obviously it's going to be, but it was the biggest elevation of a team from backup to starter that I've seen in a very long time. But that being said, if you can't cover a wide receiver for a full game, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going rampant. There's nothing you can really do to win the game if they're just gonna advance the football in a very one-dimensional way. And the Dolphins opened up the run, they opened up the pass, and Reek got more involved. Waddle, I still would like to see get involved, but Tua looked good. It just wasn't
Mhm.
enough because the defense couldn't stop a very, very simple thing to stop. And that's not to say that Marvin Harrison's bad. It's to say that it's very obvious what the Cardinals are going to do if
Yeah.
they've been doing it all game, and they just kept doing it. And McBride had a good game too, but that was last week. This week, Miami's going to get stopped.
Mhm.
Dallas and Atlanta, and Dallas are 3-4. Atlanta 5-3. This is a really telling game for Atlanta's divisional hopes and a telling game for whether or not Dallas can be ruled out for a wild card spot or even a division spot. I'm going to
Mhm.
say Atlanta go in and end it. They're going to put Dallas in the ground and pretty much sink any hopes of a Mike McCarthy job next year. And hey, who knows? Maybe Dak gets offloaded.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, this
Although he
is
did
like
just sign a contract, so he
yeah,
won't.
that's
But
true. Like you said, this is a huge game for Dallas because if they win, it's kind of a huge confidence booster. Last week they almost got by the Niners, but I feel like we said with the Bills and Dolphins, the Niners have ruled the Cowboys for past couple of years. But I'm gonna agree with you here. I'm going with the Falcons at home. Last week for the Falcons, they got the job done against a hurt Tampa team, but still looked really good on offense, looked all right on defense. I'm gonna go with the Falcons here at home.
5-3 versus 5-3 in the next one. Denver versus the Ravens. And you would not expect them to have the same records, but this is a heat check for Denver. They're going to have to go
Yeah.
into Baltimore and see if they can do anything, and they're not going to be able to do it. Baltimore's going to go in and do what they've done to a lot of teams that have been thriving and just dampen their hopes. They did it to
for
Washington
sure.
earlier
Yeah,
this year. They did it to Detroit last year, Houston in the playoffs. They're just the team that they bring teams back to realization. So I'm going to go with Baltimore.
yeah. I'll agree with that one. I'm going with the Ravens. Lamar might be out though. He's been out of practice the past couple days, so we'll see if he plays. But I wouldn't change up my pick anyways if he's out. Honestly.
New Orleans travel to Carolina in, I think, this season's real first occasion of a tank bowl. These two teams are hideous, and it's a sad thing because I thought New Orleans were going to be good after those first 2 weeks,
Hey, so did Gans, bro. Everyone was
but
hyping that pick up.
but it was what it was, and now it is what it is, and I just don't see a way that Carolina can get the job done. So I will give the Saints the win, but this is a really really piss poor game.
Yeah. I'm agree with this one. The Saints also. I'm not copying your picks. It's just the
No, I know.
Panthers are not it at all. They're not it. Andy Dalton was. I would say is the only. Really is the only one that gave them a shot at their only win when he got that one in Vegas. But I'm going with the Saints here. It's nothing really much to say. It's the Panthers.
Speaking of Vegas, they travel to Cincinnati for a repeat of the 2022 wild card game. Joe Burrow has been better to continue the season, but they got absolutely curb stomped by the Eagles last week, while Vegas actually played very competitively against the Chiefs. That being said, I don't think it's going to be close. I think Cincinnati's going to stay
Yeah.
at home and absolutely murder them.
Easily, yeah. Jamar Chase, the Burrow connection's been great all year. It's going to continue.
The Chargers go to Cleveland, and the dog pound is really rampant now. Jameis Winston took over for insert offender, and I really think that Cleveland have something going now because this roster is so good. They really are, and Watson was holding them back
Yeah.
so much. I think Cleveland at home beat the Chargers, who are right now challenging for a wild card spot. They're 4-3. They've had their bye. Cleveland only have 2 wins on the year, but one of them without Deshaun Watson last week against the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm gonna go with Cleveland.
That's an interesting one here. I'm actually going to go with the Chargers, though, because I just feel like the the Browns are gonna have a cool off week. I mean, it's not gonna be so hype. I don't think the run is gonna go that far. I think it ends after a short stint of a one shocking win at this. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers at the dog pound.
Washington versus the Giants. Washington. I don't need to expand upon it.
I'm gonna pick Washington, but I'm not gonna be surprised if the Giants somehow come away with a win, possibly. Because the reason I say that is, Jaden Daniels has had his injury woes the past couple weeks. He didn't look that bad against the Bears with the rib injury, but the Giants have the most sacks in the league. They can get to the QB, but at the end of the day, it's Daniel Jones is just a struggle bus. So I'm gonna just go with the Commanders.
Last game in the 1 o'clock window. This is the second tank bowl of the window. Patriots versus Titans, and this is just brutal. I mean, I can't tell you which one of these teams is worse. The
Can I pick
Patriots
a
beat
tie?
the
Am I allowed to pick a tie?
if you that was a rule that I was thinking of. If you pick a tie and you get it right,
What is it, two?
no, you win the whole season.
Ooh.
Because like if you pick a tie
Wait, but
and get
if
it,
it's not a tie, does the other team people get a point though? Because I mean,
yes.
you're
Yes, we
okay.
would both get a point if you pick a tie and don't get it right,
I'm
regardless.
not going to, but that would just be
Yeah.
crazy.
But
I'm not picking a tie for the predictions, but if it ties, just know that I said that.
yeah, well, that doesn't do anything for you
I
in the
know,
predictions.
I
But
know.
I'm gonna go with the Patriots because they just are slightly more well-rounded as a team, and Callahan looks like an awful coach in Tennessee. I think Rudolph is playing again. I mean that was a team that lost by 30 something points. They gave up 50 something points while only allowing 85 passing yards. So it's just a really really bad team.
Yeah, the Patriots contained the Jets last week somehow. I mean, we all thought a lot of people thought the Jets were gonna run away with that one, but I mean, the Patriots have kept it close with the Jets the past couple of years. So I'll agree with there. I'm going with the Pats. I don't. The Titans are just not good.
Yeah, they're
Just not
horrible.
good.
Jags in Philadelphia, nothing much to say. Philly's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
go
kind
in
of the
and win
same
that game.
thing.
Like,
Eagles.
yeah. Now, this is a more interesting game. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears go to State Farm Stadium in Arizona to take on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are really hot right now. 4-4, Bears 4-3. This is a wild card clincher matchup potentially as we go deeper on into the season. Arizona, two straight wins, three of their last four, including wins against the Chargers, the 49ers, and the Dolphins, all three pretty formidable opponents. While the Bears now, after that loss to the Commanders, are 4-3 off the Hail Mary, but they would have been on a 5 game winning streak had they not
Yeah.
sold that. But
Give a quick shout out to Tyree Stevenson, man.
oh
What a
my God, that might be one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Like, I just can't explain it. But I'm gonna go with the Bears to win this game. Arizona have a little bit more of a one-dimensional attack with the running game not being as potent anymore. I think James Conner, as good as a back as he's been, is just not going to be able to control the clock as much as the Bears will with DeAndre Swift and the multitude of passing options they have. I'm gonna go with Chicago.
I'm actually gonna go with the Cardinals here at home because I don't know. I just feel like the Cardinals, they haven't been that bad. They're on a back-to-back win streak right now against after two close games against the Dolphins and Chargers. But their offense hasn't looked that bad really. I'm gonna just go with the Cardinals here as I guess you could say it's possible upset potentially because some might say the Bears will look better than the Cardinals this year.
Detroit and Green Bay. This is an absolute clash of titans. Detroit have looked unbelievable this year. In my opinion, the best team in the league so far. While Green Bay, although they've kind of staggered to a couple of wins, are 6-2. Jordan Love has been injured for a couple of games, and their losses came against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings, who both of them have been very good up to this point this year. So I'm gonna go Detroit, but I'll let you go with the explanations because I'm not sure yet.
I'm gonna go with the Lions. I kind of have the same thing as you. I don't know. It's two great teams, and the Lions have looked really good. And I don't even know if Jordan Love's gonna play off of what happened last week. So I'm gonna just go with the Lions, short and sweet.
Yep, I'm going with Detroit as well. I just think that they have such a full roster. There's really nothing that you can pick at on this team that is a weakness. The pass rush looks good even without Hutchinson. So I'm going to go with Detroit to win. Now, the last game of the 425 window, Seattle at home against the Rams. Again, a game between two teams that could be competing for a wild card spot. And this NFC is really competitive.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the Seahawks have looked worse at this point in the year than they have at the start of the year. I mean, they had the fluke win against Atlanta. I wouldn't even consider that a successful game. Oh, I mean, it was a successful game, but they just didn't really like. I don't feel like they earned that win.
Yeah.
But they played the Patriots close. They played the Broncos close. They lost to the Giants, lost to the Bills, lost to the Niners without their guys. I don't think that they're a competitive team in the NFC. I'm going to go with the Rams to win in Seattle.
Rams bounced back in that crazy win last week against the Vikings. They got Puka back, who I don't even, he might not even play. He's got an injury in practice. Some might say it's not major, but the Cup to Stafford connection looks back. Kyron's consistent every week. I'll go with the Rams because I Stafford has his guy back, and the Rams could be dangerous now again with their guys back.
Flacco is back against the Vikings in Minnesota. I don't think that really does
Yeah,
anything to
that's
move the needle for Indianapolis this week, but I do think it was the right move to sit Richardson
hmm
because this team was just not winning football games with him on the field. And even when they did, like against Miami and against Tennessee, they were just ugly, ugly games that he did not he just hasn't gotten better. He's a
hmm
problem and he took himself out of the game.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know
he's
how much
tired.
I don't know how much developing you can do with this guy. I'm going with Minnesota to win this game, even though Flacco's in. But you look down the stretch, even at 5-4, this is a team with a tough schedule, but games that they can win to get into a wild card spot. So it's the right thing to sit Richardson. But I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
for
Minnesota.
sure. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. I'm going the Vikings.
And then the last game of the week, the Chiefs at home on Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'll let you go first because I want to end this video with a bang.
So I guess I know who you're picking probably because
Who am I picking?
in that context,
Who am I
I'm
picking?
just, I'm gonna just save it for you. I'm gonna just
Okay.
save it for you. I'm going the Chiefs though. I feel like they're just gonna run away with this one.
Who am I picking? Say it.
Buccaneers.
The Kansas City Chiefs this season have not looked great. They are 7-0, but they have not looked great. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they beat Detroit earlier this year. They've won games that they shouldn't have won. They lost games that they shouldn't have lost, but they play up to their competition, all things considered. They played the Ravens tough at the end of that game without their receivers. Kansas City, all dynasties have to fall. And this team is playing some of the worst football they've played over the course of the last maybe 3 years, and they still haven't lost a game. So while that does tell you a lot about Kansas City, it also tells me that something is a little bit off. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go out.
Ooh,
They go out to the Arrowhead Stadium on a primetime game. Baker Mayfield goes out and wins them this game. I'm going with the
without
Bucks.
Godwin and Evans is
No
crazy.
Godwin, no Evans, no problem. You got three
That's
running backs. You got Cade
crazy.
Otton. You got a lot of depth wide receivers that can go out and make plays. I think
Sterling Shepard.
Tampa's going to go get the job done. But that's going to close out this episode of the Across the River podcast. Again, I'm Dylan Shalom. I'm here with Jacob Kaplan, and we had a good time bringing this one to you, and we're excited to bring you more over the course of this season. Peace.
Next week is the NBA episode, by the way. Stay tuned.
Bang.